Good day. This is Philip Koerper. This is episode 97, April 11th, 2019. I wanted to lead off the Philip Koerper Show here with talking about Candis Owens. So we had Nadler, Democrat chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Well, the Democrats took over the House, so you've got this Nadler guy, or whatever his name is. He is the chairman. And so basically, they're going to have a big talk on white nationalism. And so the Republicans were very smart, and they brought in Candis Owens. She is an up-and-coming star in conservative circles. And it just happens to be that she is a black female. She's actually leading the Blexit movement, hashtag Blexit, where blacks are exiting the Democrat Party. So this is kind of her little campaign, and it's really pretty awesome. She's a great conservative. She's young. She's smart. She's feisty. She's great. She's a great spokesperson for conservatism. And actually, white nationalism they wanted to talk about. So this is really awesome. So the Republicans brought her into this committee meeting. And so Ted Lieu, Ted Lieu is this guy. He is this extremely left Democrat from California. He's actually went to Georgetown Law School. He's really pretty smart. He's 50 years old now. And he is a colonel, I think, in the Air Force, because he was in the JAG Corps. And he's the one who spearheaded in California that to make it illegal to try gay conversion therapy on minors in California. I would like that. Like, this is child abuse to try to do gay conversion therapy. So this guy's really far left. And so what he does at this hearing is he plays the recording of Candis Owens talking about nationalism. Candis Owens was talking about nationalism, had a question about Nazi Germany, and she talked about how Hitler was doing, if it would be okay, it'd be fine. Her comments about it, with Hitler, it'd be fine, were the words she used, if he just stayed in the country and didn't have a global takeover of the world. Okay, now she was just talking about nationalism and imperialism and comparing the two. Of course, no one's going to support Adolf Hitler and what he did even within the borders of Germany, because he was killing the Jews and other atrocities. So anyhow, no one's going to defend Adolf Hitler. Candis Owens in this talk was not defending Adolf Hitler. Okay, no. She was just using the Germany as an example of comparing nationalism to imperialism. And she was defending nationalism. So anyhow, the Republicans brought her in to defy, so we can talk about white nationalism. Okay, so now the Democrats, I think there's a poll that says 70% of the people know that politicians, or believe politicians, will use race for political gain. And the Democrats just love identity politics and are talking about race all the time. All the time. It's extremely divisive. But they love doing this. They love to pander to the minorities, and also the white liberals and leftists just love it too. They love the virtue signal. They love to just be the party of the little guy, the oppressed, the persecuted. Okay? I really don't think that the Democrat Party and their platform does anything to help minorities or the oppressed. But this is America. Okay, and this is America where I mentioned last podcast about how minorities are treated better here than in any other place on the world, on the planet. So Ted Lieu, in this committee hearing, Candis Owens is up in front with the microphone, and Ted Lieu plays that clip of Candis Owens talking about Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany, nationalism, and imperialism. And he just takes a little cut, and then he asks this white leftist lady who was there on this panel about what she thought about that. And she goes, well, I know Candis Owens has backed off these statements, but that's really troubling. I mean, this is retarded, okay? For conservatives or Candis Owens to be all defending Adolf Hitler, this white nationalist, is just completely retarded. A new survey, and lots of studies show that white nationalism, is it present in America? Oh, yes, it is. Is it big, or is it a small movement? Mediocre? No, it's super small. It hasn't really changed in decades. You've got a few wacko people who believe in this white superior race thing, kind of like Adolf Hitler did. Okay? This movement has no appearance. There's no evidence that it's growing at all. It's not gone, but there are still a few wackos. Just like on the other side of the thing, there's black nationalists. Okay? I mean, or, whoever nationalist, whatever color your skin is, just make up something. Okay? So, anyhow, it's a bigoted, stupid idea, but there are, of course, a few people who have that. But the left wants us to believe that white nationalism is taking off. And you know why? It's because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is stirring the pot. And he's talking about Charlottesville and how they're good people on the white bigoted nationalist movement. Okay, this is just complete fake news. There is no evidence of that. Donald Trump has never been supportive of white nationalism. It's just retarded. People will point to that single comment in Charlottesville where he said there was good people on both sides. He was talking about the people overturning the Confederate statues. But they'll twist and turn it into whatever criticism they want. They're going to pin Donald Trump on that. That's so dumb. So anyhow, Candis Owens. So we listened to this thing, and Ted Lieu asked this one thing. And then Candis Owens starts, and she immediately... what her statement was great. She did not get defensive on this statement, but this is what she said. I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Lieu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. Okay. And then, so that is her response when this GOP guy gave her time to respond, which was great. Okay, so Candis Owens now is just, she is owning Ted Lieu, and Ted Lieu is actually whining that he wasn't owned. But what happens? What happens to derail Candis Owens? What happens to censor her? Okay. Chairman Nadler starts pounding his gavel. He starts pounding it, and he goes, you will, the witness will not use disparaging remarks, and will not call the congressman stupid. And then Candis Owens goes, well, that's not what I said. You weren't listening to me. Okay, so Candis Owens really let Nadler have it, but, in a lot of regards, Nadler won. He could have said, the sky is pink today. He could have just interrupted with anything. He just interrupted her. He distracted from her point. And so she was really just handing it to Ted Lieu. And Nadler just comes in and saves the day. This committee is run by the Democrats, okay? So you are in their sphere. They are the boss. Nadler is God here, and he's the judge, and he gets to run this committee meeting any way he wants. And so he interrupted Candis Owens. He silenced her. Once he interrupted like that, basically her attack on Ted Lieu is just not going to be very effective. So anyhow, he saved Ted Lieu from even getting owned even more. But that's a tactic. So in the courtroom, you can't do things like this. For Ted Lieu just to bring up that clip, in the courtroom, all the evidence, the defense has got to know about it. Okay? It's a lot more fair. This is just an open committee meeting. There are no rules. You can accuse you could falsely accuse the witness of anything. So Ted Lieu here is accusing Candis Owens of being like this lover of Adolf Hitler and supportive of what Adolf Hitler did, his white nationalism. Oh, it's just ridiculous. It's on so many different levels. That's so ridiculous. But anyhow, that was Ted Lieu's accusation, and he stuck it to her. And then when Candis Owens is giving her rebuttal, Nadler, the chairman, just interrupts her and silences her. So anyhow, it's just, the Democrats are going to play hardball. The Republican solution here is to take back the House so we can run these committee meetings in a way that is not so offensive like they do. But that's the nature of the beast, and that's the way it's going to go. It's just, PragerU posted this on Twitter, that there's the Newsweek headline is Donald Trump Jr. praises Candis Owens for her defense of Hitler comments. I mean that, and PragerU's right. That headline is disgusting. That is this, when we complain about fake news, okay, this headline makes it look like Candis Owens is a big, huge Hitler fan, and so is Donald Trump Jr. Nothing can be further from the truth. That is totally false. But look how Newsweek is going to twist this. This is what we're up against with the conservative movement. Being on the right, we have got this incredibly powerful media presence that is almost exclusively left-wing, far left of center. We got to deal with it. I want to move on to this Fox News article. I was listening to Fox, the Rundown podcast this morning. Alan Dershowitz was on there talking about the Barr's testimony, and he praised it. Alan Dershowitz is a Democrat. He's a liberal Democrat who voted for Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump, but he will weigh in on constitutional law. And he said that Attorney General William Barr struck the right chord and is depoliticizing the Mueller report. Okay, and he thinks he's doing the right thing. Quote, he said he very much wants to depoliticize the Department of Justice and bring it back to its origins as a nonpartisan law enforcement agency. He wants to have credibility. He's referring to William Barr here. He wants to produce the report according to the law. He's not going to be pressured by the president. He's not going to be pressured by the Democrats. He's not going to be pressured by the Republicans. He's going to do it the right way. That's the projected image that he wants to convey. Barr told lawmakers, this is the Fox News article, he expects to release his redacted version of the special counsel Trump-Russian report within a week. As I've said before, the Democrats are so disingenuous. We want transparency. Well, of course, the special counsel, no, it's not supposed to be transparent. It's a grand jury investigation. Innocent people are not going to have all their dirt exposed from this incredible investigation. That's against the law. The Democrats are just going on. Now, Donald is trying to look good and go, yeah, I want it to be released soon. He's not going to defend all those other people. But he'll let Robert Mueller, who's doing the redaction, and William Barr, he's going to let them. They're going to redact the report. They're going to cover up some of the techniques that they used for investigation. They're going to protect the innocent in this report. So that is their job. That is their job to do. And, with the Bill Clinton and the Starr investigation and that special probe, that turned out to be just a political witch hunt. That was the appearance, right? The Republicans were just going after Bill Clinton, and they were using Ken Starr to do it. So with this new law and this special counsel that we had with Bob Mueller, we are trying to do the same thing here. We're trying not to totally politicize this. But it's hard. It's hard when the Democrats are just, they're just so short, narrow-minded and just focused on today and winning the political argument of today. They don't care what's going to happen tomorrow. Dershowitz says it's important for Barr to say that because, quote, you don't want to fall into the situation where you have to make an important decision within 48 hours without having some advanced knowledge. Okay, so this is in the response that there was some inkling into the thinking of the special counsel. So they knew what was going on. Robert Mueller was finishing up this investigation. The White House knew that. William Barr knew that. So anyhow, I think it's... I think the Democrats are being very disingenuous by talking about they want to see everything, and they're not going to let it drop. I turned on the TV yesterday in the doctor's lounge, and it was on CNN. I watched a little bit, and they had a panel. There was 5 people talking. I forgot who's what. This is in the afternoon, and they were all just going after Donald on the Russian collusion thing. I mean, they are not done. They want to keep looking, and they say Donald, he publicly said, the Russians, hey, if you guys have those emails, I'd like to see them. Alan Dershowitz makes the point that there's nothing wrong with that. The interviewer in Fox News says, is he being facetious? Alan Dershowitz goes, no, that's not criminal. If you want to get a hold of this information, you could ask other people. Anyhow, so... I think Alan Dershowitz is really on par here. I'm glad that hopefully Fox News will depend more on Alan Dershowitz and less on Judge Napolitano, Andrew Napolitano, because he has really been wrong time and time again on this whole Bob Mueller probe and on all of these constitutional things. I really think Napolitano just kind of hates Donald, but whatever. He hasn't been right. He's kind of a never-Trumper. So it's interesting. Barr did testify that spying did occur, and so the Democrats are just going crazy on this. They are just really freaking out and like, do you have any evidence? They are just going totally nuts on this. Okay, so. He said, Barr did say, I think spying did occur. The question is whether it was adequately predicated. I think it's my obligation. Congress is usually very concerned when intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies stay in their proper lane. He said, spying on a political campaign is a big deal. So apparently the Department of Justice is looking into what was going on here? Because we do know when Donald was saying they're spying on me in Trump Tower, because the New York Times reported that, it turned out to be true. It turned out to be true. The FBI, they had a FISA warrant. They're going after Carter Page, who was in the Trump administration, his election campaign organization. They were spying on members, or at least a member of the Trump campaign. So they were. And so William Barr is looking into the justification of that. It is fascinating to think about why did President Obama, so he knew that the Russians, or he was suspicious that the Russians were interfering with the election that was coming up of Hillary Clinton and versus Donald Trump, and they knew the Russians had a spy, and that they were spying, and that they're embedded in the Trump organization, and for him never even to mention that to Donald Trump, not even let him know about it. Okay, it really is. If you're curious about this, even if in a nonpartisan way, you have to wonder what Barry Obama was doing and why he didn't tell Donald about this, because that is really interesting. Why didn't he? Well, I guess we can only assume that he thought HRC was going to win, and he didn't want to put a shadow of illegitimacy over this election. Not if HRC won, but if Donald won, oh my heavens, let's yell, cry foul. let's delegitimize the election as much as possible. And if that doesn't work, let's just keep delegitimizing Donald Trump. This is another Fox News article from Sol Weisenberg. He said Barr would be derelict in his duty if he didn't investigate spying allegations. So anyhow, I think you really need to put the shoe on the other foot, okay? And so I think many Americans would want to know why this got started. If there was no collusion here with the Trump administration, okay, why have we been going on? Who said there was? And how did this start? And how did these FISA warrants get issued? I mean, what was going on here? I mean, was Trump's campaign really being spied upon? Let's figure it out. Okay. So I think that's legit. And so we'll see. And I think most Americans think that's legit. So, yeah, Sol Weisberg says, it's a big deal when a presidential campaign is spied on by the government, particularly when the government is in the hands of the opposition party. It doesn't mean anything was necessarily done that was wrong, and Barr has said that, but it's a big deal, and he would be derelict in his duty if he didn't look into it. Oh, I love it. Right? Weisenberg added that Barr, who is facing accusations by Democrats that he is not acting in the best interest of the DOJ or the country, is merely doing his job. Bill Barr is all about restoring the integrity of the Department of Justice, and that's part of it, to see if anything that was done was wrong. So anyhow, this is great. Yeah, the FBI is taking a really kind of a black eye here with the, you've got Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, and we've got all their texts. We could see that they're incredibly politically motivated to destroy Donald Trump, that they had some kind of insurance policy that they were going to use using the FBI to destroy Donald Trump. Very disconcerting. Okay, very disconcerting. Looking at the Democrats, speaking of disconcerting people, Biden blows away the field. Fox News article on Joe Biden. This is a poll. It looks like he's at 23%. Bernie Sanders comes in second at 16%. Pete Buttigieg is at 11%. Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, 9%. Kamala Harris, 7%. And Robert Francis O'Rourke coming in at 6%. Oh boy, man. Look at all these white guys leading this poll. Ooh, this is the party of identity politics. This is really, how unfortunate. Wow. So anyhow, there you go. Joe Biden, he is leading the pack, even with all of those allegations of misconduct. So anyhow, we'll see what happens. Off they go to the races. This is interesting about this Donald Trump and his tax returns. This is really, really funny. This is from a Fox News article. Treasury won't... You notice I get a lot of these stories just from Fox. I don't want to click on the other news sources. I clicked on a Washington Post article earlier, and they wanted me to pay money. It's behind a paywall. I'm not going to certainly give the Washington Compost any money. I don't even want to give them any clicks. This article says, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said Wednesday that the department hasn't decided if it's going to comply with the demand of key House Democrat to deliver President Trump's tax returns and won't meet a Wednesday deadline to do so. This is truly, truly amazing. And I like what Alan Dershowitz says about this. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. Can Donald Trump, should he go after the tax returns of like Bernie Sanders? Bernard has not released his tax returns yet. Or what about these Democrats, this Rich O'Neill guy? Let's see his tax returns, okay? Or Maxine Waters, okay? Let's use the IRS to investigate them. I mean, come on. Americans don't like this. I really, really hope Donald does not release his tax returns. I don't care about his tax returns. I think it would be a great president. Don't do it. So none of the following candidates have to do it. This is stupid. The IRS has way too much of our information anyhow. I hope he doesn't do it. Oh, but Maxine Waters and everything. Oh, she's feeling very powerful, and she says, man, we're going to just do things a different way. I've got that quote somewhere. I can't remember where it is. Oh, Maxine is feeling very powerful. Maybe that's in this story where she says, well, it's a new day and off we go. I guess we're not going to follow a constitution or anything at all. Maxine is feeling very, very powerful. Forgot what committee she's the head of right now. It's just really shocking. Oh, I lost it in my notes here or something. Oh, Maxine. So anyhow, I this is just retarded to use the IRS to go after your political enemies. I hate this. I really hate this, and I hope Donald stands up to this nonsense. Okay, there's nothing that says that he has to release his tax returns. I hope he doesn't. And if there's this stupid little law that says that Democrats can just go investigate, okay, do they really want to get in that tit for tat? Okay, well then the executive branch can investigate them. And guess what? We can arrest them. So should Donald Trump just go arrest this Democrat for, parking violations or something? Or should we dig through his taxes? And I'm sure we'll find one mistake. And there's hundreds of mistakes in almost everyone's tax return, the complicated ones. Oh, no one knows how to do it. It's a Pandora's box. It's just ridiculous. So complicated. Yeah, maybe Donald Trump should just dig through this guy's taxes and find some mistakes and then arrest him. Throw him in prison. Should we do that? Yeah, should Donald Trump arrest this Democrat House member who wants his taxes and just arrest him and throw him in jail? Oh, people would go crazy. No, if you put the shoe on the other foot, no. No one's going to want this. This is separation of powers, okay? Congress is limited in how much investigating they can do, okay? And the Article 2 powers of the executive office or executive branch are also limited. So, oh, yeah, how dumb. Oh, speaking of dumb, Rashida Tlaib, she is defending Ilan Omar's. Okay, Ilhan Omar, they dug up this thing on Ilhan Omar, and she said, referring to 9/11, that some people did something, okay, in her remarks about 9/11. Well, so now Rashida Tlaib is going to come to the rescue and try to bail out this lady, and she says her comments have been really taken wildly out of context. And so, anyhow, so Dan Crenshaw is going after Ilan Omar. He is an Army veteran, war hero. And so Tlaib says on MSNBC, she said, they do that all the time. Speaking of her words were taken out of context, especially women of color. They take her words out of context. Well, that's true. Like Candis Owens, Ted Lieu took her comments out of order too, and Candice Owens, a woman of color too. Yeah, maybe Tlaib's onto something here. They take our words out of context because they're afraid because we speak the truth. So apparently Tlaib is a woman of color too. My sister Ilan Omar, what she was talking about was uplifting people by supporting their civil liberties and civil rights. She has always condemned any strategy, especially of a person directly impacted by being a refugee herself. Tlaib added that she was outraged because she believes it would lead to death threats for Omar. Okay. Yeah, so we can't have any kind of debate here. So we notice what's going on here? This is more censorship. The left loves censorship. So we cannot criticize Ilhan Omar because she might get death threats if we criticize her. I mean, this is ridiculous. And then Tlaib goes on. The fact that people are taking those words out of context and endangering the life of Representative Omar is immoral. It's wrong, and it needs to be called out by many colleagues and saying that they need to stop targeting her this way. It's absolutely putting her life in danger. Censorship. Oh, this is what Tlaib. I want to ask Tlaib here, wait a minute, what is going on here? I am confused because I don't see Tlaib defending Candis Owens. Ted Lieu says she's a Adolf Hitler lover. That's what Ted Lieu says. Oh, yeah. Ted Lieu takes her comments, Candis Owens' comments, out of context and calls her Adolf Hitler lover. And where is Tlaib defending her? Oh, no, see, this is always the same thing. No, the censorship works only one way. It works only one way. I've got another example later on the show how this works. No, it's only conservative talk that's going to be censored. Oh, yeah, it's only conservatives. So, no, Tlaib is not going to defend Candis Owens and Ted Lieu going after her, even though Candis Owens is a woman of color. No way. Oh, this is so dumb. Oh, so dumb, so irritating. So it's interesting. Tim Ryan is this Democrat running for president. Another one, of course, or a bunch. And he says, having Midwest in my bones is an advantage in this race. Oh, yeah, the 8-term Democrat congressman, Tim Ryan, he has the heartland in his bones, which he thinks this is going to give him a big advantage. He declared his candidacy last week, relatively late compared with most of his rivals for the nomination. This is a Fox News article. So, yeah, in his bones. Oh, there you go. Ohio guy. Interesting. This is a great article, switching gears, by Michael Knowles on the Daily Wire. God help us, atheism becomes largest religion in the United States. As religiosity has declined, social ills have abounded. Such a great article, and I think this is so true. So basically, Americans who think that they have no religion has increased 266% over the past 3 decades. And now that's 23.1% of the population, according to this General Social Survey. So that's just barely edges out Catholics and evangelicals. Mainline Protestant churches have suffered the greatest collapse, declining 62.5% since 1982, and now comprising just 10.8% of the United States population. So religion's going down. He says nearly 1 in 5 American adults suffer from anxiety disorders, which now constitute the most common mental illness in the country. 1 in 6 Americans take antidepressant drugs, a 65% surge over just 15 years ago. The problem is particularly acute among younger Americans. While depression diagnoses have increased 33% since 2013, that number is up 47% among millennials and 63% among teenagers. Coincidentally, suicide rates among American teenagers have increased by 70% since 2006. So, I mean, there's so much going on here. So, yeah, this is sad. This is sad that religion is going down. John Adams wrote, "Our Constitution was made for our moral and religious people." Dennis Prager is really good about talking about morality coming from God. So then he finishes, "A miserable politics awaits us when the irreligious rot flows downstream. But who but God can help us now?" So anyhow, John Adams also said, "It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." So it's just really hard with our liberties and freedoms if we don't have morality, which comes from God, if we don't know the difference between right and wrong, if we really don't know that, then our politics is going to be downstream of that. He talked about divorced and widows, talked about how marriage is under assault, the family's under assault. I mean, think about all the gender confusion, which is just so prevalent, or at least it's in the media. I mean, this is something that as I was growing up in the mostly the 60s, 70s, and 80s, I mean, this gender confusion thing was just not on my radar at all, nor with most of my friends, or not so much in the media. So anyhow, it's so true. This is I wanted to touch base on this Washington to point this out a little bit. This Washington Examiner article. Pence and Buttigieg are attacking each other, and this is really ironic. Buttigieg is Pete Buttigieg, or however you say it. It was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. So Mike Pence is from Indiana also. Okay, so Buttigieg just wailed on Mike Pence the other day, and Buttigieg said, if me being gay was a choice, it was a choice that was made far, far above my pay grade. And that's the thing I wish the Mike Pences of the world would understand, that if you got a problem with who I am, your problem is not with me. Your quarrel, sir, is with my creator. This is an interesting argument. What if Pete Buttigieg was like a child murderer, like a pedophile? Or what if he was just a bank robber and he said I was just born to rob banks? I'm sure we can find somebody who will say that. What happened if Pete Buttigieg was just prone to adultery, and he just says I was born this way, I had this weakness, or my dad always said I was an alcoholic. My dad was an alcoholic, and he said that I was an alcoholic. And I'm like, well, Dad, I don't drink alcohol. How could I be an alcoholic? He goes, oh, it's in your genes. I mean, you were born that way. Okay, so my dad believed that God put the alcohol gene into my body. Well, it's still a choice for me to be an alcoholic or not. So, this debate over, being gay as a choice is something that, Mike Pence is not going to jump into this. I'm not going to jump into this if this is if people are just this way, okay? Maybe they are. I do not know. But if I was born an alcoholic, like my dad said, I can choose not to drink alcohol. If I was born to be a bank robber, I can choose not to be a bank robber. Okay. Now, these people with same gender attraction, I don't know why they have that. I don't know. Why do some people like chocolate over vanilla? I don't know these things. I don't know. But people have preferences. People have likes and dislikes. So in the Mike Pences of the world, people like me, we will tolerate homosexuality and behavior. We will tolerate it. Of course we will. We believe in freedom and liberty in this country. But please do not ask us to celebrate it. And please do not force religions to accept this stuff. It's in the scriptures that homosexual behavior is wrong. I personally believe that, as I've mentioned before, that we have a modern day prophet in my church, the Church of Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints. And our apostles and prophets teach us to this day that homosexual behavior is a sin. Okay, so just like, we believe that looking at pornography is wrong, so we don't do that or try not to do that. We believe they teach us that adultery and fornication are wrong, that we need to keep the law of chastity. We teach against that. Doesn't mean everyone keeps these commandments, but we will teach them. So anyhow, why Pete Buttigieg is going after Mike Pence here is really, really bizarre. So Richard Grinnell was tweeting about this. For those of us in the LGBT community who deal in facts, we are chilled by recklessly repeated gossip. Mike Pence is a humble Christian who loves God and all his creation. I know him. You obviously don't. So Buttigieg is just going after, Mike Pence, and mainly on same-sex marriage. Okay? People like me, Christian people, we are against same-sex marriage. We think it's wrong. Now, civil unions and all the legal protections are great, but we feel like marriage has just been redefined because we believe marriage is between a man and a woman. So same-sex marriage, it's an oxymoron. Those words don't go together. Okay, marriage is a union between a man and a woman. So you can't have a same-sex marriage. It's like impossible. So this is what we gripe about. So anyhow, so there's a big tit for tat going on, and Mayor Pete is going against Mike Pence and his religion and going after his Christianity. So anyhow, it's really sad. And Mike Pence and his faith, really, as far as I'm concerned, is none of my business. I really don't even care. But I'm glad Mike Pence and his friends are defending himself. And I don't know why Mayor Pete is just going berserk on Mike Pence or going after someone's religion, going after Christianity. That's the wrong thing to do. I touched earlier about Google. There's a Breitbart story. Google manually manipulates search results to exclude conservative sites. So they have some leaked information here, and it looks like Google. It looks like there could be if this is credible information, if this leak is credible, if these documents are real, Google is manually manipulating search results. I think we all know this. I know when I Google topics, I never get Fox News. Google is really smart, and Google knows that I love Fox News. I go there all the time, and yet when I Google things to look up news stories, I never get Fox News first. It's always the Washington Compost and the New York Times, or just complete leftist news sites that I don't want to click on. I don't want to get the story from there. I want to get the story from a conservative website. I want to give them money. I don't want to give money to the other news agencies. And so they've been manually manipulating conservative websites. One of my favorites, the American Spectator. So, this is just the way it is. These Facebook and Google, once they lost that timeline, it's such a nightmare where Facebook and Twitter can rearrange my feeds. They're not in chronological order anymore. They get to pick what's going to be at the top of the feeds. I never get to the bottom of my feed. It's almost like infinity. Who knows how long my feeds are. I never get very low in my feeds. No one probably does. And so Facebook and Google, they can just push things way down there, and then I'll never see that. I just hate how they're manipulating everything. Really fun thing that, Bernard Sanders, I guess he's going to release his tax returns on April 15th, and he's admitting that he's a millionaire, and he says, all you have to do is sell a best-selling book, and you're a millionaire in this country. And Charlie Kirk tweets, if Bernie actually believed his own garbage ideas, why didn't he give away his book for free, accessible online for all to view instead of profiting off of it? And this is so true. The dirty little secret is all of this socialism that these politicians, speak of. They don't really believe in it, and not for themselves, obviously. So Bernard can make all this money off of his books. That's okay. Why didn't he sell it for free? Why didn't he put it online for free? Oh, no, he wants to make money just like everyone else. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's called capitalism, Bernard. It's great. So I know you love to practice capitalism, but you're so two-faced because all you preach is this Democrat socialism. And speaking of a Democrat socialist, this is my last story of the day. So this podcast is very long. Oh, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So much fun to talk about her, the fresh face of the Democrat Party. Michael Knowles is so awesome on this because, he grew up just in the neighborhood, just beside her neighborhood. And he has a great article in the Daily Wire. Ocasio-Cortez is a fraud through and through. How she pretends, to be one of, like growing up in the tough luck Bronx. Totally fake. She grew up in a very nice suburb of New York City, went to a very nice high school, went to Boston University in Boston, premier education. So anyhow, she pretends to be one of the masses. And it's great. Michael Knowles really calls her out on this. I wanted to close with an article from our church. Our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. President Nelson, the leader of our church, is really trying to emphasize our name. Now, we've used the nickname Mormons or Mormon Church quite frequently, or Latter-day Saints. Probably just because the name of our church is really long. So like the Methodist Church, that's a pretty... So it's just hard to abbreviate our church name. And so President Nelson wants us to re-emphasize the correct name of the church. And it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Of Latter-day Saints is added on there to distinguish our church from the earlier church that Jesus Christ actually set up. Because we believe that the Church of Jesus Christ fell away from the earth after all the apostles were killed, and the authority of the priesthood was taken from the earth until 1820, when God the Father and Jesus Christ appeared to Joseph Smith, the boy Joseph Smith, in upstate New York. And then this was the process to put the Church of Jesus Christ back on the face of the earth today with apostles and prophets, with 12 apostles and with a prophet, a modern day prophet. And so that's why Of Latter-day Saints is added onto the name of our church to distinguish the Latter-day Church from the earlier church. So anyhow, so we're changing our websites and things like that. So anyhow, I like that emphasize. We're emphasizing that this is not the church of the prophet Mormon, who is an ancient prophet mentioned in the Book of Mormon, and that's why the Book of Mormon is a bunch of books, but Mormon was the lead prophet who put all the records together, so it's named after him. So no, our church is not of Moses, not of Mormon, not of Joseph Smith. The church is of Jesus Christ. It's his church. And so we can emphasize that. Thank you guys so much for listening and lasting to the very end. Wow. This is Philip Koerper. This is the Philip Koerper Show. You can go to philipkoerper.com to listen, or iTunes, or on YouTube. You guys have a great day. See ya. Bye.